Kia ora e te whānau. My name's Nicole and I'm the teacher in room 28. I have the absolute pleasure today to talk to you about outdoor play. So the benefits of learning through play inside the classroom are also seen when we take play outside the classroom. Here at Western Heights we use outdoor spaces as an extension of our classroom, and I'm just going to run through some examples of those spaces and what your children do within those spaces. Our natural environment is a taonga and we treasure it. So in order for learning to happen, the children need to really feel connected to the space and the environment. So exposing them to the same space again and again and again builds this really strong connection. We have a few really unique spaces within our school for outdoor play. So we have a bush, a loose parts shed, collaborative play areas, a garden and a mud kitchen, which has been recently added, and I'll explain where these spaces are as well. We're obviously looking to address as much of the curriculum as possible, but at the same time we aim to attend to those key competencies or soft skills as Annette has explained in her previous slide. But we also look to develop a growth mindset within each of these children. These skills, or the key competencies as they're referred to in the curriculum, are developed throughout their whole schooling life and are a really important part of being an adult. So today I just want to start with the bush, our bush space, or our ngahere as we call it. It is located along the right-hand side of the field, along the back of the school property. So the children are really fascinated with everything that's within the bush, and this is a picture of me introducing the children to the space. They were really fascinated with a fantail that actually came and flew into one of the branches above. The fantail stayed with us for quite a while, and it just really opened up a lot of wonder and a lot of questioning for these children. Why is he here? What is the fantail saying to us? Is he greeting us? And that's really what we want to see, is a sense of wonder for these children. Because we had last year a friendly wizard come to visit us in room 28 and 29. His name was Fig, or Figalore Nifflepuff if you want his long name. And he is a friendly wizard, and he's the kaitiaki of our bush, or guardian of our bush here at Western Heights. So having our friend present for a bulk of the year really helped us tap into imaginative play and develop a sense of wonder for the children. We were able to run through this with this idea for a large part of the year and use the experiences to address many of the curriculum areas, so literacy, science, social sciences, arts, health and PE, and of course those all-important key competencies. We also developed a very important sense of wonder as we went and experienced what the bush had to offer for us. He encouraged the children to write him letters, and many of them chose to do this during their playtime. Even some children who really were a little bit more reluctant to write during our writing time, they chose to write him letters because he would always answer. He tasked the children with caring for the bush and all that's within it. So this allowed the children to develop a really special connection with the space and a real sense of belonging to the ngahere. So sometimes we just explore the environment. We just go in there and we just have a look and see what happens. Interestingly enough, whenever we go into the bush, all of the children are engaged, they're talking to each other, they're moving, and they're really happy as she is there. And that's not surprising, because as we know, when children are in nature, when they're in a natural environment, it has a calming effect, and that is exactly what we see when we take the children into the bush. Our junior syndicate has actually completed some training on appropriate safety around bush play, and so we do have safety rules when we all enter the bush. So within those boundaries that we set for the class, the children can direct their own learning and follow their urges, their interests, and make their own choices about what they want to do and where they want to do it. Sometimes kids just need to touch stuff, and this was a really beautiful example of this. The two girls here found some moss and they were just touching it, looking at it, and talking to each other about it. They described the moss. They used words like fuzzy, furry, sticky, and bouncy. This was completely unprompted, and I just happened to be standing behind them, and I was able to hear that lovely conversation. The girls here found this tree, and it had a lovely pattern on it. So we were able to look at the pattern very closely in some cases, and notice these curriculum links everywhere we look. So we've got literacy, very strong literacy link, and a very strong maths link here. Annette's already showed you this slide of the Possum Trap. So these boys worked really hard, worked really well together, making this possum trap. They had to problem solve when the bath didn't quite function as it should up the right way, so they had to figure out a way of making that really work. They had to manipulate these resources, so using their fine motor and gross motor skills to do that. They had to negotiate the roles within the play. This boy here, he had the idea, so he had to explain that to his friends, and they understood, and they were happy to help him with that project. Our job as a teacher is to find the curriculum within this, and I can see so many key competencies. I can see gross and fine motor, I can see science, maths, technology, and the basis to a really cool literacy block. So we can extend these ideas far beyond this, as long as the children are continually showing interest in that particular part of play. I don't think he caught any possums though. Even the year twos get involved in the bush sometimes. So this is room 31 and 32. They spent the day moving and cooking and exploring the bush as well. So this is just an amazing teaching experience with so much going on. So when we use an experience to teach, we really get a lot of bang for our buck, so to speak. So you can see all of the curriculum areas that were touched upon or that were addressed within this one experience within the bush. Obviously maths is one thing that really stands out quite heavily. For some children though, being in the bush is quite foreign. So we don't push them. We take out a tarp or a mat of some description, and we provide books, pieces of paper, jovies, those sorts of things, so that they're still within the space, gaining those really good benefits of being in that environment, but also that they're really, really happy, safe. And then over time, as they become more comfortable and more competent, they may even start to explore. The bush is open during class time to all classes or all children within the school, but it's just not open during the break times. Which takes us to the loose parts, which is just alongside the bush, along the right-hand side of the field. It's full of odd objects, and children play and create with those objects. There's a real opportunity for the Western Heights children to play and create twice a week during lunch times. A designated duty teacher is on site for that, and it really encourages mixed age play. So that's where the older children can experience a little bit more imaginative play from the younger children, and the younger children can experience a bit more of sophisticated play, interacting with those older kids. So loose parts promote an approach to play where anything can become anything, and it develops a flexibility of thinking, creativity, problem solving, communication, social skills, and also perseverance and persistence. They have an idea, they want to create it, so they keep going until they get it done. Development of social skills is really apparent in this space. For example, if there's only one bicycle wheel, one child has it, another child wants it. What are they going to do? It's really easy as a teacher in the space to be able to see these interactions happening between children, and then we can go and help coach them through those necessary exchanges. It's really hard to share as a 5-year-old, and we understand that, but with regular play-based learning environments and wonderful coaches like the teachers here, we can have them successfully navigate those skills. Here we have the same crates, the same objects on each side. We also have a pipe. I'm pretty sure the pipe's probably the same in each of these pictures, but the creation is different, the story is different, the imagination is different. We have a castle and we have a vehicle. So it's really interesting that the same object can become something completely different depending on the story or who's telling the story. This situation was really, really interesting. It's a great illustration of how play is negotiated between a group of children. So everyone, all bar 1 or 2 children, wanted to be on it or in it or on the car here. Well, the car didn't go very far, did they? Because there was no one to push. The play wasn't fun and the play was abandoned and they all went elsewhere. They came back a little bit later on and realised that they had to negotiate their roles and responsibilities if they wanted the play to be fun and engaging. So they were able to do that by deciding that turn taking would be the best way. So they did, it was fun, and they did this for quite some time. It was really cool. So these skills are really important for everyday life and are directly linked to our key competencies. So if you have any of these lying around and you're willing to donate to our loose parts shed, please get in contact with Michelle Ballard in room 3 or Charlotte Westerhoff in room 5. We're always after sort of odd objects, loose parts, things that obviously don't have nails and hazards within them or sticking out of them. But if you have any of those things, we're more than happy to take them off your hands if you're willing to donate. Our school garden is another space where children can explore and discover. It's alongside the sandpit, sort of at the back of or to the side of the senior block. It's a really cool place to find bugs and worms and snails and creepy crawlies, and the kids just love it. But that's not where the learning stops. So this space draws out a really rich discussion between peers, and there's always someone that knows something about gardening or bugs or the way things grow. And it's really great for those children to take on role of the teacher, and they're always really happy to share their knowledge with their friends. Right over on this side here we have a good bug discussion happening. One child's assumed the role of teacher and is letting the kids know what they know about the bug that I think it was a slater or worm or something. In the middle we have a very brave explorer. I'm not sure I would have opened the lid, but she was quite happy to see what she could find. And here we have a boy who is touching something in the dirt. I think it's a worm, but he's touching something. That's what it looks like. But if we look a little bit closer, we can see that he is using his trunk muscles to stabilise himself. He's using hand-eye coordination. He's looking directly at what he wants to touch. And he's got the sensory urge. So he wants to touch that. He wants to feel it. He wants to see what it feels like. So even though we're outside the classroom, they're still developing the skills that are directly related to learning inside the classroom. These sorts of your trunk muscles, your hand-eye coordination, those are all directly related to being able to sit up straight, being able to write, fine motor, those sorts of things, directly related to classroom learning. As the children become more connected with the environment, so repeated exposure to the same environment over time, they'll become more connected, and things are less new, then they can start to record what they see, what they find, if they choose to. They can do this by drawing a picture, writing down any words that they hear when they say the word, any sounds that they hear when they say the word, or maybe they could even draw a map of the brick that has the best bugs or the biggest bugs underneath. This is all meaningful literacy, and this is what we encourage. And this is a memorable experience that we can take back to class and use. In the garden, there is a natural flow to other curriculum levels that are really big, other curriculum ideas that are really big. Topics like sustainability, pollution, water cycle, plant cycle, recycling, environmental awareness, conservation, all of those sorts of things. Once a child establishes a really strong connection in this space, here at school they can start to develop an understanding of those bigger ideas as they progress throughout the school years. Ultimately, this results in environmental thinkers of the future, and that's exactly what we want. Miss Rollo runs a gardening group on, I think it's Wednesday and Thursday at lunchtimes, and she invites anyone who's interested to come and help plant, maintain, to help in the harvesting of all of the things that she has going on. There's many things that they can help with. So if your child's interested, they're more than welcome in that space. The mud kitchen. So this is so exciting. We absolutely love this. Helen, Olivia and Annette worked really, really hard to get this up and running, and we've opened it just this year, and it's really cool. We love it. It's located along the left-hand side of the property, and it's in between rooms 15 and 17 around the back. This presents such a rich opportunity for children to develop language and to foster relationships between children and other classes, because we often go there in sort of two class groups. The links to the curriculum in this space are really heavily linked to maths and science. So there's so much to be learnt in this space. For example, how to transport your sand or mud. Now, I know as an adult looking in on these pictures, it's probably a little bit frustrating and it's most definitely not the most efficient way to transport something like sand or mud, but this is not something that the teachers get involved in. We leave this well alone. It's their learning, it's their play, and it might be part of their narrative. So we just leave well alone. Unless we're invited into the play or there's a safety issue, this is absolutely fine. This is part of their journey. So I've heard some absolutely fantastic problem-solving discussions between children in this space, particularly this one over here with these boys. They were trying to figure out the correct mud consistency. So they used words like thick, watery, sticky, add some more, too much, just a little bit. And I can hear a lot of maths language and a lot of scientific language in that discussion. There's ample opportunity for children to be gifted new words or new phrases during play. Sometimes it's gifted to them by an adult if they ask, but more often it's gifted to them by a peer when they're really involved in these really rich, beautiful discussions about what they're doing. These two girls were looking at how the mud dripped down from their little brush and splattered on the bench below them. And there was lots of giggling and lots of chatting. So here we can just see a couple of photos of what the children are doing, and there's a really tight link to the curriculum in science, particularly science and maths. So the urges apparent in the mud kitchen are a sensory urge. That's the one that is really highlighted. Most children absolutely love to get dirty. They love touching it and they love squishing the mud between their hands and their fingers. And the teachers are in great support of that. We really like to see them doing that and see them engaged in their play. So just a quick note, if you could please remember to send your children with a spare change of clothes and keep their best outfits at home. So the mud kitchen and best outfits don't really mix. Some kids hate to get dirty. Obviously these two are not part of that group, but it's okay if they don't want to get dirty. That's fine. We have sand so that they can still play, enjoy and have fun along with the rest of their class. And again, with repeated exposure to the same environment, they will, over time, want to try the mud, want to see what all the fuss is about. And this is just another notice about if you have any of these things. So things that would be appropriate for a mud kitchen. If you have any of them knocking around and you want to get rid of them and they're still in good condition, please bring them to us. We have Miss Manson in room 8 who's happy to take those off your hands. Collaborative play. So this is something that we've just started this year. It is just the year 1 classes, and on a Friday, so once a week, we all participate, all the classrooms, so there's 9 of us, participate in this collaborative play. So we open up a couple of classrooms, and each week it will differ. The middle of the junior area, so that tree and the tyre area in between all of the junior classrooms. We provide loose parts, book the mud kitchen, provide scooter boards, outdoor games, and open up the carpentry table for the children. These children are able to move between any of these spaces as they wish, except for if they choose to go to the mud kitchen. So just purely because of where it's located, if they're in the mud kitchen, they stay in the mud kitchen for the whole block. The areas will change each week based on their interests, and as they become more accustomed to loose parts play, we will add more as we go, or maybe even take them to the loose parts shed. We use this as an extension of our 4 walls, as our extension of our classroom, and this takes place in our existing classroom playtime. And if there's fun to be had, they will absolutely find it. Sometimes the games evolve from what they know into something completely different. So again, it's about keeping the fun going, keeping the negotiating the roles and having fun. So this game evolved from the normal 10-pin bowling skittle formation to a line, because it was much easier to set up and more children could have a turn. All children to get to be in the space that they want to be in, move the way they want to move, and attend to the urge that they are experiencing at that time. And of course, that's where it's fun. These kids love it at the carpentry table. Some of us are blessed with a child that needs to or really wants to take risks, and I have one. My youngest is exactly like this. These kids can be really physical and everything is big. So big noise, big movements, big everything, big risks. The schema that's most obvious with these children are trajectory and orientation. So hanging, climbing, throwing, swinging, crashing, jumping, all of those things that are perfectly acceptable outside the classroom, but possibly a little bit too dangerous to be doing inside the classroom. So when they're outside, they get to move and choose how they move. They get to choose, they get to move, and they get to do what they want to or what they need to at that particular time. These risk takers really thrive in outdoor settings, and they really find a connection because of the freedom of space. They attend to those big urges that they have, and they are super successful in their play, and they're really happy outdoors. So we really love seeing these kids who are able to go through and throw things and crash and jump and climb over everything. Children that choose risky play in a known setting can over time allow themselves or it builds the skills to allow their thought process to, sorry, I'll start that again. Children that choose risky play in a known setting can over time build the skills to manage themselves adequately, making play less of a risk, and they become more able at what they're doing. So outdoor play encourages large motor movements, which promotes those connections in the brain that Annette was talking about. And this is why we have playgrounds, to attend to these urges. So this is the orientation urge, and they're seeing something from another perspective. So I was upright, obviously, and they were upside down. The playground's really, really important for developing the strength to sit and write. So as they hang off the bars and support their body weight, they actually are building the strength in their core, in their upper body, their fingers, their hands, their wrists, and all of this helps with pencil grip, sitting in a chair, pointing to words that they're reading, manipulating educational resources. So they fine motor skills, they're developing all of that. So even though we're outside, we're still developing the foundations for the children to be able and active learners when they're inside the classroom. So we will continue to play during the winter months, so please make sure that your child has closed-toe shoes and a jacket in terms 2 and 3. So we will, your jackets, beanies, a warm change of clothes, all of those sorts of things, because we will be outside, obviously weather pending, but when it's just a little bit cold, a little bit drizzly, we probably will still go outside. So I hope this has helped give you a bit of insight into why we're always outside. Children are the experts in the area of play, and it's a privilege to work beside them each and every day. So thank you.